Right down.
Welcome to the September 16th facility meeting. I'd like to take roll call. Dr. Grande.
Here.
Mr. Henry.
Here.
Mr. Miller.
Here.
And Mrs. Holbert. I'd like to move forward with the approval of the August 19th facility meeting minutes. May I have a motion
So moved.
and a second?
Second.
Thank you. As we start every one of our facility meetings, we start with our mission and vision statement. The September agenda for tonight. We are looking at the RFP update for the construction management. RFP update on architectural services. Henderson Field storm sewer update. Preventive maintenance projects for 25-26 that are currently being worked on. And a little bit of landscaping. We've been following the timeline to date on the RFP for construction management. We've hit every date so far. We had a meeting on 9/9 with a committee of myself, Dr. Johnston, Ms. Mosley, Andy Benzing, and Mary Jo Wachowski-Smith, and went over all of the different proposals from all of the different CM companies that came in. We narrowed it down to one company. The design phase 2, construction documents, bidding. Presently, this is the schedule ever to be on. However, they could change based upon design and architectural possible changes as we move forward. The committee met on 9/9, and when we selected the vendor which best fit the needs of the district, we determined that on the firm's experience, the resources, related projects, very similar to the high school project we're looking at moving forward with, and the ability to form the scope of work. Also evaluated their approach to the project, their fee proposal, reviewed their references, and their adherence to the RFP. The fee proposal that we're going to be presenting to the board on the 29th is a number of 272,302.08, and that is for pre-construction engineering resources. Oops, sorry. You'd like to?
Sure. Maybe I'll just say a few words.
Sure.
Yeah. So we are really excited to really be on this timeline to undertake the renovation of Stratford High School. And it was really very enlightening to meet with the various firms that came before us. We're really pleased to make a selection of CHA. So we have representatives tonight with us from CHA who will introduce themselves in a minute. Both Jamie and Henry who are here to represent the firm. Really and excited for the board to hear a little bit more about CHA and Jamie and Henry themselves and the expertise that they'll bring to this project. Already, they've been just really helping to just jump in, help us think about how are we going to, both in a cost-effective way, but also really maximizing the opportunity that we have to make Stratford High School a warm, safe, bright environment for our students, and then also thinking about how can an addition really add to the educational program that we provide to our students there. So really creative thinking underway, and I will say that we met such high quality firms. There was the ones that became finalists. Any one of them could have done the work. But what really attracted us to CHA in particular is their focus on both strategy and management. And that was really what was the difference maker between them and the other firms. And we feel like for our particular project, it's that strategy that will help us think about how do we maximize the available resources we have. We know that funding is limited, it's not infinite. And so how are we going to use our funding well to maximize what we can do? And so the ideas that we've heard about during the interview process were things like, how could we maybe rethink the use of temporary modulars? Maybe there would be other ways of addressing the design of this project so that you don't need to spend what is budgeted right now as $3 million for temporary modulars. We didn't have to spend $3 million on temporary modulars. That's $3 million we could put towards renovation of another part of the building. And leading to something much more meaningful for our students than having them educated in temporary modulars for up to 2 years. So we really appreciated that type of, that know-how, that expertise, that strategy that they brought to the equation, which really was the difference maker. So we're excited to have them here with us tonight to tell us a little bit more about their approach, what they'll bring in the way of expertise for construction management work. And like we have on this slide, the amount that we will be asking for the board to approve at the meeting will be that dollar amount, the $272,000 that you see there. That's just for pre-construction. We know though that the bulk of the work of a construction management firm comes during construction. And so I want to be very upfront about that, that the amount that that CHA that we're in further negotiations about for that part of the work right now is at $1,406,000, $1,406,344 as the the amount that we are talking about right now. But if the scope of the project changes, that dollar amount might change. So we really want to make sure that we focus right now on the pre-construction costs, and then really to be responsible to the taxpayers here. We want to say, make sure that we are ultimately locking in a cost for the construction work that will match what the architect ultimately designs for us. And so we'll probably be doing the same type of approach. In fact, I'm very confident we'll take the same type of approach with the architect, that the architect will first commission the architect and approve the costs of their designs. And then we'll approve the costs for actual the construction phase of their work too. And I think by doing so, we're able to adapt the dollars to the scope of the project. And so I really appreciate CHA's being sort of working with us through this contracting approach. And I know that Ms. Mosley will talk a little bit more about that piece during her presentation. But for tonight, we really just wanted to let you know what it was that set them apart. And to invite now, if Jamie and Henry would mind coming to the table, we'd be glad to hear a little bit more from them. But of course, Mr. Gonde, our attorney, to see if there's anything we want to sit first before we show this.
Yeah.
All right. So Jamie Lynch from CHA, I wonder if you would mind kicking off this brief discussion.
Terrific. Thanks very much, Superintendent Johnson. It's great to be with you and the community this evening. As you're embarking on this very exciting project, we're pleased now to become a part of the team of your stakeholders, and first and foremost is the community and the students and everybody who's going to be working in the school. So we're very happy to partner with you and provide our expertise as you move ahead. Our organization and our group that has been based in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, turns 50 next year. Henry and I were both hired in the same year, I believe, in 2004, and have been working together ever since. More than 90% of our work is in K-12 projects just like this one. So we have been through Warm Safe Dry, we've been through New, we've been through Just Do a Little Bit Here, do a little bit more here. And so we're very happy again to lend our expertise when you have questions about how to prioritize the spaces and how to conduct phasing. And really, most importantly, how to maintain the educational process as the #1 priority while you're trying to embark on a construction program. Short and sweet, that's what I did. And I really appreciate your process here. Everyone was very interactive. The grilling, I think I've recovered from the grilling and the questions that were received. And so I thank you for that because they were equally insightful. And that's what we're looking for in a partnership with a client, someone who is also thinking ahead proactively, hopefully the same way that we do, so that we can bring about success and bring out the community when we're all said and done, so that their exclamation is simply Henry, you want to?
Sure. I'm Henry Gabriello, registered architect. I'm a project executive for CHA. Jamie got a little bit wrong, 2002.
Oh.
We'll be, intimately involved in the project from the very start, work our way through. I know some of you met our colleague Patrick also, who will kind of be our boots in the ground. I usually don't show up dressed for board meetings like this, but I was in the field today, covering for one of my guys. And the way our process will work is you'll see a lot of Jamie and I in the beginning, and then Jamie's presence will start to taper off. You'll see less and less of him. as you'll see more and more of Patrick as we get toward construction, and Patrick will be our lead guy in the field. You know, really helping to just be your eyes and ears, make sure that you're getting, you know, the quality that you paid for. And again, you know, gonna get to this project like we get to the end of all of them, and hopefully everybody's gonna have a smile on their face, or I should say everybody will have a smile on their face. And we wanna help you get where you're gonna go.
Well, thank you for joining today. I don't have a lot of questions, but maybe if I could just ask you for a moment, in your experience working with districts on projects like this, if you were to reflect on what do you think some of the like key principles are with projects like this around really thinking about being good stewards of dollars and resources while also assuring a really good quality product.
Well, I think the reason that you're hiring us is for on time, on budget, with high quality, right? And so I think that's our charge. How do you get there? It has a lot simply to do with excellent communication. So that starts with communication between our team and your facilities team and your staff, and it extends to building leadership. It extends to district administration, of course, to the board, and then transparency with the community and providing them with the information that they need in order for them, the community, to support the project in all facets. It may have to do with how we separate kids from construction. It may have to do with what the budget is. It may have to do with what the timing is. It may have to do with phasing, and I'm sure it has a lot to do with what pieces of the high school are we going to touch, and to make sure that we're thoughtful and that we prioritize. We have excellent rationale behind the decisions that ultimately the board of the community. Yeah.
Thank you. Anyone else has any questions?
Just a comment for first of all, Jamie Henry, thanks for coming back. Appreciate it coming, spending your evening with us. And thank you for, I got to speak to you yesterday, I appreciate it. I'm going to repeat some of the stuff I repeated yesterday for the sake of this group and anyone who watches later on. But we did talk, and I appreciate you brought up during your presentation. I think we also talked a lot about it with the panel that was interviewing you originally. You brought up a number of things I thought were super important. And so I just wanted people to know that they watch this later, that this is on your mind. One was maintaining a working school around a construction project. We had a lot of good comments around that. You talked a lot about sustainability, which I know was a hot button in our community as well as the board. So I appreciate that you were on that. And we talked about yesterday, making sure that when we have opportunities to highlight sustainable materials, or practices, or energy efficient installations, we're going to point that out, try to make sure we highlight that so people know. So I appreciate a lot of that. If you could, because I thought this was really good. You mentioned it just now, Jamie, about being transparent with the community. We talked a little bit about partnering with the township and the community. And I wonder if you would if you had a couple comments about it, because we talked about this yesterday, about how you some of your experience and how you do that, how you operate within the community and the township.
Start.
Yeah, I can say that, yeah, and I mean, one of the things that we try to do very early on, like I said, when we get into that schematic design phase, is to actually sit down with the local municipality, show them what we're doing, where we want to go, the scope of the work, what the overall project is, what the effects may be on the surrounding property, roads, that kind of thing, but, meet with them early and get them involved so they know what's going on before, long before we're ever going to ask for actual permits. Very important, again, to get it started as early as possible as well with the land development planning. The permitting process there takes quite a long time. Again, that has a lot of environmental and sustainability aspects to it in order to meet all the DEP requirements. But again, it's being on top of the owner project requirements early, staying on top of those, as you mentioned, keeping always in the front of our mind that this is a school first and a construction site second. And again, just kind of keeping an eye on things for you folks. If you have anything
And in the community, it's the school community, keeping them informed is important. So it's the aspects of the project, but how and will my son or daughter be impacted by construction operations? So to come in as we're presenting to you and to the public on what's gonna happen, to provide, slides that are basically free to answer questions. What about noise? What about dust? What about odors? What about temporary partitions? We'd like to lay this out. We'd like to say, plan the work and then work the plan. And have everybody engaged with us. And, I've told the team, and now I'm saying it publicly, that when projects like this happen, they're always very interested neighbors and folks in the community. One of the things that I tend to do that helps is to provide my cell number to the community so that neighbors know who to call when they see something. And some of my very best sidewalk superintendents who work for free are neighbors at school districts. So for them to be able to give me a call and alert me to something that they see that is a direct concern to them. First of all, they're calling me, so I have direct access to what's happening on the job site rather than calling the member of the district who has to call me and then I have to call him back. And then, I'd like to see, and I'm sure you'd like to see, immediate action. There's a concern. So that's one of the tricks, if you will, of what we can do to respond as quickly as we can and appropriately to members of the community.
Thank you, that's all I have, thank you, appreciate that.
And I think that's great.
Will you be doing a presentation for the community, or will you set up like groups of stakeholders to meet with so that they can voice their concerns or they're buying into the project or opposing it, so you know what you're up against?
I'm gonna be up against something. The short answer is yes, and in concert with the effort of the architect and with your committee and ultimately with the board, there's gonna be, I'm sure, numerous opportunities to be in front of the public and explain what the project is. A lot of that culminates in what may be required for this project, which is an Act 34 hearing, which you formally explain to the public what the project is. We have to make sure that the project actually requires an Act 34 hearing because it's heavy renovation and small addition, presumably, but that's a little bit down the road. So those opportunities are gonna exist. I would imagine you're gonna invite us to your facilities meetings and possibly your board meetings at key opportune times for the entire team to explain what the design looks like, the rationale for the design, and how we're actually going to plan on making it happen. So it's a team effort. It really takes a village, and I'm sure that there'll be opportunity for the community to ask questions all the way through the process.
And I don't want to leave out either, because, Jamie talking about the public, the direct neighbors, we also do the same thing with staff. Also very important. I mean, if we're building a new school out in the field, and yes, you always have neighbors, whether it's a new school or additional renovation project, but when you have an additional renovation project, then you're working, directly adjacent to those people. Very important also that we get the staff involved and explain to them, what they're gonna see and, how to deal with issues when they come up and how we can help them as well.
And as part of the team, I just want to say what my, of course, strategy management, absolutely 100%. Some of the things that that I considered a priority were that the collaborative approach that CHA had, and I believe that that one of your strengths is really how you collaborate, willingness to collaborate with the community, with the teachers. And actually very thoughtful and specifics, not just saying communicate with neighbors, but actually saying communicate with the people who live on Allen Lane. So it was very specific about the approach for all of us, for teachers, for neighbors, for all of us with specifics. I think the second thing that I was very happy about was the innovation and thoughtfulness for what you were saying about the a way that we can manage a construction site with children. and the thoughtfulness towards teachers. How are teachers, just as you said, how are teachers going to, feel about this? How do we conduct school at the same time? This is a construction project. They actually came with diagrams and presentations with options. We're not doing it this way. We could do it this way, or this way, and providing all of us some good options to work with our students. So I think the collaborative approach, some innovative and some out of the box thinking that we hadn't thought about before, that no one else came to us, put CHA ahead of the other groups. So for me, that was those two things were what moved CHA forward. So I appreciate you guys. Yeah, thank you.
Great. So, if you don't mind, we'll open for public comment questions, so you don't have to stay here until the very end, so we can spring you loose.
I guess I'm the culprit. My name is Leo Carey. I live on Sykes Lane in Wallingford. I have a couple of questions and you guys probably covered this. Who owns CHA?
Well, that's a big question. I mean, there's a lot of people who do. They're a big company. We're 2,200 employees. We're ranked number, 65 on the ENR engineering list for engineering companies in the country. But
Who owns it?
there's a group of
It's a corporation.
equity investors called corporation, right?
What's
Yeah.
CHA stand for?
Stands for,
So the original firm, and CHA has been around a lot longer than we had in Bethlehem, was Clough Harbor and Associates.
Okay. Understood.
So that's it's an engineering firm that has been around for quite a long time.
Okay. Jamie or Henry, I heard you say you were an architect.
yes.
So I think I understand your role. Jamie, I'm not sure what your role is. Maybe you said it and I missed it.
So I'm the business practice leader for our practice here in Pennsylvania. By degree, a civil engineer and an architect and a certified construction manager. So a lot of K-12 experience.
Okay, I'm not sure I understood this correctly, so clarify it more. And I'm around you. You're, gonna be paid $272,000. And did I hear this correctly, to manage a $1.4 million project? No?
Well,
Okay.
to be clear on that, there are three groups that will be contracting with essentially, broad brush stroke. We have our construction management firm, our architect engineering firm,
Right,
and the general contractor.
correct.
So CHA will be our construction management firm, and we're dividing their work into two phases. The first phase is pre-construction. The second phase will be construction.
Okay.
The pre-construction dollar amount that we will be seeking board approval for on the 29th is the dollar amount you see there. We will come back to the board to seek approval.
What number is that?
What's that?
272,000,
Yeah, that's what you're gonna pay CHA.
pre-construction.
For phase one.
Oh, okay.
Then we'll come back to the board to seek approval for a phase two, which right now we're planning at $1.4 million.
Uh-huh.
But that might adjust given any changes to the scope of the project. But it's good to know that's the starting point. The other thing that's important to know about that is that we're not trying to create an incentive for CHA, where that dollar amount lands will likely be pretty close to that, because we don't want to create an incentive. CHA has been very clear with us that we don't want to tie their dollar amount to, exactly to what we're paying a contractor, so as to say that there might be an incentive for them to have that contractor come in at a higher rate, right? So we want to have kind of a flat rate that we have with CHA.
And that 1.4 million, we expect to cover what? I heard you make some comments and they went over my head.
Sure.
They flew by my head. I don't think it went over, I didn't pick it up.
So when you think about the 1.4 really being for when we have the construction underway, we need the firm, we'll need CHA to manage that construction, to open the site in the morning, to conduct the organization of all the contractors and subcontractors that are coming on site, to problem solve with them on a daily basis. They'll have a trailer over there at the high school, and that'll be
What would all those contractors be doing? That's what I'm wondering. Are we replacing the trailers or not replacing them?
So imagine it's the electrical, it's the plumbing, it's all of those those are the types of contractors we'll have on site. that we need to make sure that CHA is helping to plan out and look ahead to say, let's make sure that, you know, working with the architect and engineering firm to say, are we lined up to have the right people on site next week, 3 weeks from now? We're laying down the foundation of the flooring. Is that gonna lead to us being able to put the, you know, the tile on top of it in 2 weeks? So they're doing all of that sort of plotting out. That's what, you know, the daily on-site staff that we'll have at the high school will be coordinating the whole construction project.
Well, I guess what I'm missing is, it's gonna be a project at the high school.
Yes,
Yeah, so,
And what is that?
so we don't have the final scope of that project.
Oh, okay, that's all. I
Yeah,
want.
so we have a rough idea of what we hope to do at the
Yeah.
high school, but this process of bringing in an architect, going through designs,
Yeah.
recosting out things
Okay.
is a part of the process of finalizing what's actually within the final scope.
And just final thing, and I won't belabor is, you know, we hear a lot about communication. I've been in a lot of big projects and usually we have a communication plan. We're gonna do this, we're gonna do that, we're gonna send out monthly updates, we're gonna try and get articles placed in this newspaper. And I'm thinking of the Swarthmore, I don't know if you know what the Swarthmore is. It's a weekly newspaper out of Swarthmore. And for those who are citizens of Swarthmore, they always have an opinion about something. And it's usually, well, anyway, they always have an opinion about something, so, I just would feel better if if there was some sort of communication plan. That, I think you've got some articles placed in some newspapers that have been very informative, and I met with Dr. Johnson, and said, we have a good story to tell there. About all the students. How the money is watched. And all of that, and I don't think a lot of people understand that. And I like the idea that you are trying to communicate with staff, and I'm gonna say something anecdotally that I don't think you can do anything about, but I have a friend who considers himself to get insider information. And he gets that information at Wawa each morning when he goes for breakfast. And that's where the bus drivers go after break, after they run their route. And the bus drivers really feel like they're in the know. So I love it when he tells me something wild ass that they said. And I said, well, geez, at the board meeting last Tuesday night, they passed out a document that is completely opposite that. So maybe bus drivers know something that the board members and the staff don't know. And I love it when I put them down like that, but you can't control that. But I'm just saying that's how rumors start, and there's no swimming upstream trying to control that. So the more factual documents we put out, the more I can tell him to tell the bus drivers. I don't have that trouble with the gray beards, by the way, they're pretty. So enough said.
Thank you.
thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right. You want- Yeah, we,
Yeah, and thank you, George.
Yeah.
Thank you.
thank you, thank you.
Yeah, slippery.
Hey, safe travels.
Give you an update on the architectural design and engineering services RFP.
They're great news for the group.
Right now, we've been hitting the schedule. We had 14 questions and 2 requests for site walkthroughs. Those site walkthroughs will happen on the 18th and 19th. It'll be myself and Dr. Johnson. We'll walk the 2 companies that have shown interest in walking the site.
Good, and good luck, you guys.
The questions and responses to those questions did go out on time. And we're on our website before 4:00 PM on the 12th. Once we get our proposals from the architect, the committee will shortlist those candidates. Then the candidates will have interviews, and those dates will be decided somewhere between the 7th and the 9th. It has not been decided yet. We're hoping that, as well as our committee, will have CHA representative there to also sit in on those discussions with the architect. And then we're proposing that the selected firm will be presented at the October 28th board meeting for approval. Quick update on Henderson Field stormwater. There was a slight delay where William Webb stepped down as the township manager. A new manager stepped in Sean Halbom, I heard from him today. We got the document back today. So on our end, all the paperwork, it is signed for the agreement of the stormwater. I have to follow back up with Sean to see where the township is with the remaining homeowners. To start to look at a milestone chart of when that project will start. And how will it affect our sports teams as well as SRA who utilizes that field. Preventative maintenance update. Still continuing to work with CM3. We shortlisted the preventive maintenance repairs that are needed on their first go around this summer on the 5 buildings. We're breaking that apart into priority 1 as well as work orders that can be done by our own HVAC tech. And shortlist that, and hopefully by next meeting, I'll have a proposal to present to the committee. As well as working with Divine Brothers for putting a preventive maintenance schedule together for all of our chillers and cooling towers district-wide. Right now, we don't have one in place. We've been piecemealing it, but to get what we want out of the system, we need to do this. Landscaping. We had 8 volunteers show up last week. We were very fortunate that one of our neighbors, Roy Campese, owner of Happy Goat, offered his goats to clear out the walking path between Sykes Lane and the school, which was inundated with poison ivy. The whole patch was extremely thick. It took 6 or 7 days, totally cleared out. I think the baseball team will be extremely happy chasing foul balls now that go in that area. They won't come out with poison ivy. And moving on to topics for next agendas will be updates on the renovation and high school plan, the 10-year capital plan, CM3 update, budgeting, preventive maintenance objectives, update on certain projects, and ADA safety projects for 25 and 26. Have any questions from the committee on the other topics?
Pretty sure we're the only committee covering goats.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm doing.
No question. I did have a comment. I just want to thank you, Bob, for all the work that you and the team did on and around the football field by all the new fence and everything. I was out there the other day. It looks really good. I heard some good comments from people that were at football games. So thanks for getting all that done. Right at the beginning, it was done before the start of the season. So
Thank you.
No comments other than I assume once you have taken a look at preventive maintenance projects, they will be presented to the committee.
It will be presented to the committee, and I need to just break it down to see what aspects will be targeted in the renovation and put them off to the side and make sure we're not spending money that is needlessly spent and being fiscally responsible to their district. So,
Have you considered using the goats on the grass fields to eat the clover and weeds that are growing up?
we might be using them in other areas in the district. There's another walking path or 2 at the high school.
I
That
can't
has some
believe they
poison.
eat poison ivy.
Oh, yeah.
They love it.
good for them.
Good for them.
The only thing, just don't pet the goats.
I did have, but before we move on, I did have like one actual question about the goats. When they eat the poison ivy, is there still poison ivy vines left there?
There's still roots that now we have to go in and spray.
So you're gonna spray, that's what I want to
Will
make
you
sure.
be spraying, Bob?
Spraying the poison ivy roots.
Will you be doing that?
Yes.
Oh, good.
Yeah, okay, I just wanna make sure we eradicate it before people are getting foul balls out of there. Annette, the general question.
I wanna make sure that the spray you're using is environmentally friendly because of runoff into the soil that could be contaminated in yards and things? Are you using a heavy pesticide or, you know, dogs walk that path and?
Whenever we spray for anything, it has to be posted, and there are signs posted wherever we spray. The spray that we utilize is readily available at a Home Depot. So we're not getting a really, strong pesticide.
Very good. Do you have anything?
Thank you.
All right, any
I just wanna say, I don't know if the community is aware or, but you know, Bob's responsible for something like 8 structures. When you enumerate them all, that's a big load. He does a good job. Even when he winds up goats, I'm just thinking on that. So thank you, Bob, for all your work.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Our next meeting will be October 21st here at B226 at 6 P.M. If we could take a quick 3-minute break.
1 minute.
2.
Yeah.
We're to
Thank you.
transition over. Thanks, Bob.
Is this a record?
Yes.
No, good, sorry.
Oh, boy, that was- That's fine. Want to take it.
Thank you, Dr. Brown. Is okay with you? I'd like to call this meeting to order. Good evening. Welcome to the September 16th Finance Committee meeting. At this time, I want to take roll call. Dr. Grande. Here. Mr. Miller.
Here.
Mr. Henry.
Here.
Mr. Holbert. Also, would like to acknowledge other board members present. As always, reflected is the district mission vision statement and also the role of the Finance Committee meeting and the meeting protocol. Here's today's agenda. After the approval of the minutes, I will provide several departmental updates, discuss the contracts to be submitted for approval, as well as review the August financial statements and bills list. It's very short, meeting, this month. The committee had opportunity to review the minutes. Can I have approval for the August 19th, 2025 minutes?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. All right, so for our departmental updates, we have 2 completed fiscal year ending tasks from last month. The 2025 SHARS report was submitted on August 27th. It's actually not due until November 30th. I would like to acknowledge the district nursing staff for submitting that information on time. And again, just all of the work they do every single day to have that information readily available immediately at the end of the school year. SHARS, yes. The SHARS report is a reimbursement school districts receive from this Commonwealth for nursing, providing nursing services and supplies and different things of that nature. So again, just want to thank the nurses for all of their work. Like I said, it's actually a lot to collect over time. So I want to thank them for that. Also, the 24-25 workers' compensation audit was completed about 2 weeks ago. And what's still in progress is the annual financial report, which is basically like your audit from the state's perspective, as well as the child nutrition financial report, which is the same as like the state's audit for your food service. Again, you see both due dates there. We are working on them, but just the general section, because both of those reports have to match your audit, so it doesn't really make sense to do so much work and then have your audit done. Like I said, we're in a really good position because our audit is actually scheduled a lot earlier, so we'll have our audit done and then we'll be able to just plug in that information. So again, but we are working on both of those reports. Last month we gave an update about the online payment options where we expanded my school bucks, which we originally were just using for lunch service deposits. We now expanded that to, school stores where each building can set up online, payments for different fee things, so field trips, AP exams, locker fees, parking fees, and different things of that nature. We actually received our first deposits on 9/2. As of yesterday, we actually have more than $7,000 that have been deposited into our account from these services. There are, several schools are already utilizing the platform. West has it for literally about 7 or 8 different things already. The high school is using it for AP exams, and that's actually a really big one because we collect about $90,000 for AP exams. So that's like their biggest revenue generator at the high school. So again, they're already using that. And the middle schools also already have items set up for field trips. So again, the benefit of having that payment option is it reduces a lot of liability for the district as far as not having payments sitting around, people banking information possibly exposed. Again, it also alleviates our building secretaries from having to leave the building and run to the bank and make those deposits. So again, I just want to acknowledge Ms. Chrissy, our assistant business manager, and the building secretaries who again conducted all the training, review, and has been working very diligently all summer to get those products ready. An update on the 24-25 audit, talked about it last month. On the 18th, we received our open items list, which consisted of 46 items. As of yesterday, we submitted 31 of those items. 6 of those items are currently with our audit prep consultant being reviewed. And for us to submit them to the audit, 3 items cannot be submitted on that list because they're actually a part of the on-site review. 2 items are state reports that have not yet been available for us to pull off the state's website. And then the other 4 items are actually with the appropriate director or department who's responsible for those items. So again, all 46 items are already accounted for. Our goal is actually by next week, we'll have all of the rest of those things submitted to them. And then again, we're just waiting for the on-site audit schedule, which is to start, I do apologize, on 9/29, which is Monday. So the last week of September is our scheduled on-site for audit. Update, our procurement coordinator position was filled. Ms. Ardenson started on 9/8. Glad to, she's already hit the ground running. She's had her meeting with the superintendent. She's also met with our solicitor that will be her direct contact for handling for contract review. We also implemented new processes for quote comparison and contract review effective for the October Finance Committee meeting. We have been sharing that information with our directors and principals as early as June. So again, now that the position is filled, we reshared that information with them, and then again, we're already in place to have that. And again, she will kind of be the point person for the district. Again, we're centralizing that instead of having different directors, different individuals contacting different lawyers as it relates to contracts. We're centralizing that information. And again, also in the process of continuously building our procurement procedures for the district. So she's actually going to come to the October next month's finance committee meeting and give a presentation on procurement in general of what it is. Like I said, what's the purpose, state and federal mandates, as well as how the district can benefit from this process and what our actual first year goals from implementing and adding this position. For the Time Clock Plus, we actually held our information session with our support staff. It actually went really well. We got some great feedback from them. And like I said, some of the requests that the team is actually internally will review. We are scheduling a meeting with WSEA. Again, they will not be any salary position will not be required to clock in every day. However, our teachers do hourly work, per diem work. So for that portion, we're utilizing the time clock. Like I said, the goal is to eliminate paper timesheets. And again, that's more so for the convenience of our staff. A lot of the times, again, this is something we shared with our at the administrative retreat about the responsibilities of the role of the business office and our budget managers. And again, the business office process this receive. So if we receive information that's not accurate, or if we receive it late, we're processing that. And a lot of times our staff are not finding out there's a discrepancy in their paycheck until payday. So again, we're trying to get ahead of that, especially again, a lot of our hourly employees are lower paid employees. So again, a discrepancy can be a huge deal. So again, we're trying to put things in place where we can kind of eliminate, have more opportunities to check it prior to it being submitted. And again, a timely turnaround instead of a timesheet taking 4 to 6 weeks to get to the business office. Again, increasing it, like I said, or reducing the time that the time that are being submitted is being processed by the business office. The next step we did, we built individual schedules to the system. So I do want to thank all of my building principals, all of our directors. We did, they had a very short turnaround, about a 2-week turnaround to verify all of their direct reports and for them to confirm the start and end time for all of their hourly employees. So that's the next step of us incorporating that into the system. And then the request was to have 2 months worth of testing. We'll do 1 month of testing without employees and then 1 month of testing with one particular building or a group of our hourly employees. And then again, we'll just continue to do a slow rollout where we'll kind of add building by building. And then hopefully towards by March, April of next year, we'll have all of our hourly staff utilizing the platform. And then lastly, the 26-27 base index, again, it hasn't been officially posted on the PDE website, but we did receive the information from PASBO. The index for next year is set at 3.5%. The business office is already working with HR to develop the first draft of our personnel budget. Personnel is about 75-76% of our budget. And again, that first draft would just reflect our current staff through 9/15 and any vacancies and the contractual raises only. And again, working with, we created a 26-27 budget calendar. So again, as we know more of our costs are predetermined, we're also trying to proactively provide information to all of our budget managers so they know exactly when each phase is starting and when it's going to be due. So again, allow them in the mean of their normal workday and schedule that they can plan accordingly to meet with their staff and get that information submitted to the business office. And the goal this year is to actually have our final budget approved at the May board meeting. Again, I know that's something the community has asked, because again, that gives them a better time to prepare when it comes to tax bills. We can't actually generate the tax bills till we have the final board meeting. That's when the final millage is actually approved. So again, by approving our final budget a little earlier, that'll give people a little bit more. So the goal this year is to approve the final budget in May. This month specifically, we have 5 contracts being submitted for approval. We said as requested, we did list each department that's responsible for the contract being submitted. And just to briefly go over them, Ever-Driven Technologies, it is a transportation supplemental contract. Again, this company will help us be able to provide any additional transportation we need for students that may have education service agreements, and we're required to transfer a transport outside of district. And again, the reason we wanted to add this contract is because we cannot sacrifice our obligations to our industry students. But again, sometimes there are conflicting schedules that would put the district in a situation where we may not be able to meet our obligations. So again, by having this supplemental service, we're ensuring that we're covering our day-to-day operations as well as any other additional mandates that may come up. And again, Power School says this is just a platform for utilizing streamlined information for our families from our student information system. Dell Financial Services, this is it's a replacement, technically. It's a renewal of a contract with Dell Finances for some of the leasing of our host servers as well as a storage server. BrainPop is a curriculum educational platform. And then lastly, as discussed at the facilities meeting with CHA, is the pre-construction agreement. Online is posted as a copy of the award letter. Again, the final contract, which is a very extensive agreement, is being negotiated, will be available for the meeting on September 29th. But again, the pre-construction cost not to exceed $273,000. I will say, thanks to Dr. Johnson, did a good job of actually negotiating that fee down almost a little over 20% from what originally was in the proposal. And then next, just to move on to the August financials, I just want to remind the public, as we talked about last month, that if for the August financial, there will still be some variances from what people may see on the treasurer's report and the financials. Again, for the month of July, August, and now also September, especially with there still being a budget impact. There are some revenues that are due to us from the state for last fiscal year that we still haven't received. So for the months of June, July, and August, we have revenues that we're collecting and expenditures that we're paying that are actually intended for the previous fiscal year. So again, you'll see some of those revenues collected on the treasurer's report. However, they won't be on the financials because those revenues are approved back to the appropriate year. So again, that's why your audit is your final review of your previous fiscal years, because you have these kind of loose end things that are being tied up. So again, for the month of August, we collected over $55 million. I definitely want to acknowledge Ms. Brandy Johnson, who is our tax clerk, our accounts receivable, single-handedly, might I add, deposited over $55 million. You can pull up the revenue actuals. And again, we're providing this to the public. There are copies in the back as well as in your folders. And this is just a visual to reflect, again, the local revenue that are been collected to date. We have been providing this every month. So far for the month of July and August, the district has collected almost 79% of the budgeted local revenue sources. State, we've only collected 8.3, a little over 8%, but again, that's due to the budget impasse. We haven't received any of our revenues from July and August. And then federal, of course, we haven't received anything as of yet. And if you look at the treasurer's report here, again, you can just see to itemize that most of our revenue came from real estate taxes, which of course is discount period ended August 31st. So you have those people trying to pay for that 2% discount. You also see here another revenue source for the IDA. That actually was our reimbursement we received for last year. So again, that's a revenue source that's accrued back to the previous fiscal year, as well as what you see listed here for miscellaneous. About 350,000 of that is our CVS rebate we received from our prescription. Again, that was intended for last year, so that is accrued back. And the only state revenue we actually have collected is the property tax relief. And the reason we've collected that is because those allocations are provided to each school district in May. The other revenue sources like your basic ed, special education, those are actually based on the budgets that are approved by the state. The property tax relief allotment is informed and well, it's told to every school district by May 1st. So we knew the amount we were going to get. That's why the state was able to pay that. But again, we haven't collected anything else. And just you can stay there. What I also added, please scroll down to the expenditures to make it a little easier. Like I said, we'll just show you guys the bills list. But since we do not have our journal entries are not reflected on our bills list, I did just highlight the net payroll. So when you guys see on the expenditure tab where we have that payroll column, I just highlighted it so everyone knows exactly what makes up that dollar amount. So these are all of our net payrolls. Those are the actual checks and direct deposits, and then all of the other subsequent things that are taken out of those checks. You can go back to it. Yep. You can go back to the
This one.
Yep, you can just go back to the presentation.
Yeah.
And then just the rest of the revenues for our Fund 32, Fund 71 and 81 and Fund 39 were just interest. And for Fund 51, that was interest and lunch deposits and lunch sales in the first week of school. And then just for the next slide, again, are our bills list. And as we just shown that on the treasurer's report, this amount is highlighted on the treasurer's report to show our payroll expenses. And that is it.
Just real quick question about the audit. First of all, thanks for moving that process along so quickly. That's as early as that can be remember. So I thought it happening. Will there be a delay because of the state budget impasse or getting the audit? Can the audit be finalized without the state budget being finalized?
Yes, we actually had a meeting with the auditors and our audit prep team because the specific revenues, which will be kind of receivables for us, we know is our social security and our PVIS reimbursements, which are based on reporting that we've already submitted to them in July. So those amounts are known to us. So we did speak with the auditors and they told us we could just book them as receivables because, which we would do anyway. We would not receive the money until July or September. But because we know the amount, they told us we can go ahead and then book those receivables. And then once we actually receive them, it would just be us doing some journal entry.
And the only other question on the expense overview through August 25, I see that you note that purchase services and just purchase services were sort of like running ahead in terms of running ahead, meaning more money out the door than the year prior. Is there anything unexpected in terms of expenditures?
No, we're actually just paying the bills with them.
Okay. There you
Like
go.
I said, I do also want to acknowledge, at the building level, secretaries, principals who have done an amazing job of getting orders prior to school starting this year. So a lot of supplies, a lot of equipment was already ordered and put in place for the first day of school. So again, what you're seeing, I mean, that's a funny point, but that is really just because we're proactively approaching school.
So it's not unexpected spending,
No,
it's just
no.
not paid for
Everything is within the.
Thank you. Okay.
Nothing for me, thanks to one, great update, I second what Dr. Ricker said about that audit earlier, so I've seen it as well, so.
Just two quick things. The expansion of My School Bus is great. It appears though that it's sort of up to the individual schools on how much they're gonna implement. And is there, and maybe this is for Dr. Johnson, is there an idea for some standardization across the schools, or is it just the most entrepreneurial principals do the most things?
If I may, I think it's, like I said, it is a newer product. It depends on what the schools have readily available. So again, like I said, the AP testing is a really big undertaking at the high school, so it would make sense that that was the first thing that they posted. Like I said, some field trips at West, like I said, they have the most products listed, have already been identified. So again, it's, they're all utilizing the platform and building things. It's just, it's also when they're releasing them to the public to, you know, that people can go on and pay for it as well. I don't know if we can make it like standard. I do think we do have to have like payment options available. I know it's even a bit of football game. I mean, take home tickets, but we do have to offer options. But I was expecting people to use it. I was not expecting it to be that to that.
I mean, it's great for all the reasons that you said. It's great.
Yes, yes. And I think as people, like I said, we actually have a lot more people that utilize My School Bus for the food service option too. We do have families that do write checks, but most of our parents do utilize that. So I think as it becomes more popular.
As a parent of two boys, we use My School Bus. And then I'm excited that you're gonna have Ms. Armstrong here to talk about the procurement position. It is an expanded position that we invested in, so the transparency to the public to be able to say, this is why we spent that money. I think it's been great. And if this is, I don't know if this is silly or not, the ever-driven technologies, is that like a school-based Uber?
Yes, in a sense, yes,
Basically.
it is. They have a platform where they, well, like I said, put out jobs to their drive. Now, again, these are drivers that, again, we have to
Have to
agreements
pass,
done, have to pass, have to have all their necessary,
It's like Uber Black.
basically.
Yeah. Great, thanks.
And I've never been so excited to hear the word procurement. But it's a position that I think is going to add a lot of value to the district and ensuring we're really getting the best prices and things. So I suppose I appreciate your leadership in recommending that and breaking through the district and our new member of our team joining us next week. Annette, any questions?
Yeah, it's good.
All right, Jim.
Two, one, thank you, really, the procurement presentation. I'm also very interested in learning how that works and how it's gonna help us. Also, thank you for setting up goals, like right on the money. So thank you, appreciate that, and glad to see what those goals would be and how, you know, we evaluate those in the future. And just about Ever-Driven, one more question. What do the Teamsters say about that?
So we did a thorough review of their contract. We did discuss if it's legal, we are, the district is within their parameters to do that, to approve that contract. As long as we're not reducing the number of drivers available, we are allowed to contract that.
Okay.
So again, we wanted to do this because we don't want to have to sacrifice, again, any of our staff or any of the services that we have mandated to provide.
Okay.
We don't want to be in a position where we can't provide that service if we're supposed to because we don't have the vehicles to drive.
Right. Right, okay, great, thank you for taking care of it.
All right. Any questions?
Yeah, going back to the time clock plus, I'm just curious, on the hourly employees. What's the pay period and the payday? I mean, explain it to me now.
So it depends. Our pay periods run from Saturday to Sunday, but it does depend specifically on the employee group for compensation.
So it's a 7-day pay period versus 14 or something like that?
No, it's a 14-day pay period, yeah.
Okay, and then the next question is payday on the Friday of that end of that pay period, or is it on the next Friday? In other words, is the payment retroactive to the pay period?
Yes, they are paid in.
So you can do the accounting as opposed to having to pay catch up.
Yes.
Good, oh, I just wanted to compliment, I met your tax woman at the football game, and this sounds crazy, but I really like it when you cash the checks quickly. whenever I make a donation to a not-for-profit or to the county, or town, or the school district, and it takes weeks, I wonder if they really need the money. So, sounds like we don't need the money, but I'm glad you're doing it quickly, because that's just good business.
Well, and if I may, I would also like to thank the public. This year, we did implement a processing window, which specifically wasn't here prior to. We did have a lot of community members saying that there was a significant lag in checks being deposited, so we did add, I believe it's from 11 to 1:30 every day that the tax office, even though it's open, it's closed to allow for processing, and that has drastically helped. I think we're cash clearing checks within 2 days of receiving them, and the community has responded, and they're appreciating and respecting that window, because no one really actually comes during that time, so we do appreciate the community's feedback and their support in allowing that to happen.
So good job, Tuesday.
You know what, and I'd like to thank you for publicly recognizing Brandy, because she does a lot that it's not a thankful job, and she takes a lot of heat. And you put a lot of pressure on. So it's nice that you publicly recognized her for the work that she's doing.
Yeah.
So, the next meeting is scheduled for October 21st, immediately following the facilities meeting in this room. And meeting adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.